People who have been caught having sex by their parents. What was that like? Mom walked in on me face deep in my junior prom date. The worst conversation of my life came shortly afterward. What did they say to you? Goddamn WTF. Tie for all up votes. Never gotten so much. Were ya winning, son? Happened twice. First time was my brother when I was like 17 to 18. Wanted me to move my car. So he walked into my room. Blanket was over us. But I was on top of her when she walked in. He just said sorry and closed the door. He profusely apologized later that day when I saw him again. Second time was my mom. She wanted to know if girlfriend was staying for dinner. Just walked in. Flailed her arms around for a second and ran off faster than I've ever seen her run before, leaving the door open. We just got up, got dressed, and that was it. Mom never brought it up again. That first time was my brother when I was 17 to 18. I legit thought for a second you got caught having sex with your brother. My mom didn't say anything while we were doing it, but after I dropped off my girlfriend and returned home, she said, "You need to respect the people who are living in this house." I immediately knew what she was talking about. My mom waited until the next morning, made me a wonderful omelette, and then when I was 3 bites in with a mouthful chomping away, she said, "If you get a girl pregnant, we will not help you raise a baby." I damn near died. You should have said, "No problem. I won't either." Dominance asserted. In the moment it was very embarrassing. They were classy enough to step out of the house for 20 minutes to let us get our dignity back together. I took her home and got a stern talking to about protection. When the incident was brought up years later, they admitted that the real reason for stepping out was because they were trying not to bust their guts laughing. Apparently, they held their shit together until they got into the car and then started howling. That's fucking hilarious. Lol, I got a decent story. So first off, wasn't caught in the action. Caught right after the action. And second, we were 16, so I know we didn't make the brightest choices. Girlfriend at 16 had a very religious family. They lived in the city, so there was no driveway or anything to warn us that a parent was coming home. Her parents were out for the day in the GF, and I were going to a movie that afternoon. So I drove over to pick her up. I got there a little early, so naturally, we used time wisely and had sex. Right after sex, doing our post-sex naked cuddle, we hear the front door start unlocking. We quickly get clothes on. Done. Next, I'm not supposed to be upstairs in their house. Again, very religious people and preach abstinence, and the stairs are right next to the front door, so there's no shot I'm making it down the mum scene. The first thought we have is for me to hide. Dumb 16Y.0. So I get in the hallway closet. GF's mom comes upstairs, sees her daughter, and asks if she's still waiting on me. The mom takes off her shoes, brings them over to the closet, opens the door, puts them literally on my toes, realizes their feet, looks up, sees my face, and releases a full-on comedy horror movie scream right in my face. The three of us had a long conversation, after which we pleaded that I was only waiting for the GF to get ready and knew I wasn't supposed to be upstairs, so I hid. Obviously didn't work. Dated for another few months and now we are still friends. We actually joke about it every so often. Her mom didn't hold it against me in the long run. TLDR. GF's parents came home right after we had sex. I hid in a closet. The mom came and put her shoes in the closet and saw me. She screamed very loudly. Proper TLDR. Scared GF's mom by coming out of the closet. Not caught, but one time in high school my girlfriend and I were at her house having sex, and she was very loud about it because we were the only ones there. So we thought, after we were done, we walk out to the living room and her dad was sitting on the couch and gave me a death stare I will never forget. He didn't say a word to either one of us, and she told me he didn't talk to her for a week. Same thing happened with my dad. Luckily I left the bedroom before her to get a drink, so my dad waited a minute and acted like he'd just got home so we could pretend he didn't hear anything. This is what legends are made of. If your own father doesn't act as your wingman, who will? A friend of mine that I had a crush on at the time had a dream to be an amateur dentist, so when I had a loose tooth, we were 13 or 14, she really wanted to tear it out, to the point where she hopped on top of me on my bed with her hand in my mouth to tear it out. I obviously resisted and was groaning because this was fucking painful and my thrashing was making the bed creak a lot, and my dad came up confused to see what was going on, and when he saw a girl I had a crush on straddling me, our faces inches apart, he promptly said, "Be careful you two," and walked downstairs. To this day I think my father is convinced that he walked in on me about to have sex with this girl, cause he always gets confused when I tell him I never had a chance with her. This is the weirdest one. In it. Not exactly what you asked for, but when I was 18 my girlfriend at the time and I were watching movies in my room. My grandma came by and knocked on my door before coming in to say hi. She saw us asleep and fully clothed. She chuckled, apologized and closed the door. I heard my grandma telling my mom that she walked in on me doing something scandalous. You were holding hands, weren't you? Scandalous indeed. And fingers were laced. Worse, headpits were involved. Worse, premarital eye contact. That's just nasty. Not my parents, but my GF at the time's dad walked in, said hey y'all got any weed, then realized what he walked in on and said ah shit you're la fucking, and then left the house. You at least get the man some weed? Yes, all the time. He was a 70s hippie guy with the hair down to his butt and stuff. He could roll like no man before. My sister caught me getting a BJ once. She didn't knock before entering my room. She saw what was happening, closed the door and left. Never talked about it ever again. Did she remark one didn't expect it to be so big? I would have to be big. I snuck into my girlfriend's room and stayed the night one time because I had nowhere else to go. Usually her mom leaves for work before everyone gets up for school, but this particular morning her mom came in to ask her something before leaving. Yeah. I woke up to her mother screaming, get out of her bed, and ripping the blankets off. And of course I was butt naked. Her mom started acting like she was worried her teenage daughter would get pregnant all the time. And I kind of just avoided her mother for a while because I couldn't look her in the eye. So yeah. Anyways, that's the story of how my mother-in-law saw my dick when I was 15. Mother-in-law. Well, at least it worked out for the better. Another happy landing. My mother had trouble starting her Vespa, so she came into my room to ask me to start it for her, which was uncomfortable cause I was quite literally balls deep in my GF at that time. I hadn't locked the room because I thought my mother had left with her scooter. She just calmly asked how long it was going to take us and if I could pause and help her because she was late for work. It was more funny than awkward to be honest, but we always had a pretty open way of talking about that stuff. Childhood. Can you pause your online game? Adulthood. Can you pause the fucking? Answer to both. No mom, I told you it's multiplayer. I wasn't caught, but I snuck a girl over. We bumped uglies all night. She slept over, and we slept nude. I didn't really think how I'd sneak her out. Just wait until my parents left became the plan. So we are laying there nude. I'm awake, she's asleep. I hear the door to the basement, where my room was, open. I proceeded to grab her, carry her to my closet. She looked terrified and confused. Thank God she didn't scream. Put her in my closet and grabbed underwear. Just after I put the underwear on, my stepdad walks in. The closet door was wide open, and he stood in front of it to talk to me, and I sat up on my bed. She just looked at him from the closet, and to this day I don't think he knows. Very close call, but I think he's clueless that on that morning there was a nude 16-year-old girl right behind. If he did notice, he's a legend for keep quiet to my mum and acting clueless. Every single time I thought I pulled a fast one and barely escaped my dad finding out I was doing something stupid in his house. He knew. I verified this when I asked him about time/dates but not situations. He called them to a T. TL. Doctor, he knew. He was proud. He kept quiet for you. Damn, does anybody lock their doors anymore? If they have a lock, I did not. I don't even have a door. Not my parents but her parents. I didn't know what to do or say when her mother walked in, so I yelled out loud. We were wrestling. Very awkward. That's about as good as that could have possibly gone. Which is to say, it was terrible. My high school girlfriend was on top and I wanted to be on top, so I pushed her backwards. When she fell back, she hit her head on the corner of my nightstand and immediately started bleeding. When she saw the blood, she started screaming and crying. My mother and her friends came rushing in to save her. She wrapped up with the blanket, so I'm just standing there at full mast with Susan eyeballing me. My mother and I were always open about this sort of stuff, so she knew we were having sex, and it wasn't a big deal. She did tease me for a couple of weeks afterwards, pretending like I was abusive. Who the fuck is Susan? The lady with the big eyeballs. They were his parents. He told me that they would be gone for a few hours, so I was loud. His mom opened the door, and I was on top of him. No way I could possibly explain myself. She sighed and walked out. That was the last time I had sex with said guy. Imagine just walking in the house and you hear them doing it real loud. Must have been a bit disturbing. Wasn't really caught, but I had my girlfriend over, and we were watching a movie under the covers. Everyone was home, so we kept it quiet, and under the big comforter. We were cuddling pre-banging, so we kept that position. Mom walks in, and asks my girlfriend and I, if we wanted food from whatever place. As I'm still inside, my girlfriend laying perfectly still. Was definitely a holy shit moment. 100% same thing happened to me. I say the weirdest part was maintaining full chub, and going back to finish the job after she left. Thankfully when my mother left she closed the door all the way. She knew. Wingman. We didn't get caught exactly, but I'll probably never forget this. My GF and I were having sex in her room when we heard the garage door open downstairs. She's Muslim and her family is very traditional, so sex is a big no-no, let alone having a BF. As soon as we hear it, I tell her to run downstairs and grab my shoes, so they don't suspect someone is here. Her dad never met me, and is the type to grab his gun if he knew there was a guy in the house. As she's running downstairs her tits are completely out, which was hilarious, so I try to yell at her to come back, and put a shirt on mid-laugh. It sounded more like a squeal but she understood. I'm now trapped in her closet, half terrified, and half laughing cause of the whole situation. Turns out her whole family plus her sister's husband is down there. The only solution I thought of was to jump out of her second story window and run to my car. I hang out of the window, it looks like a big fucking drop, and I land on my feet. I fucked my ankle up, and limp to my car. As I get back her sister opens the garage, and I hide behind my car until she's gone. One day I wish to recreate this scene with a Mission Impossible score playing in the background. Wouldn't your car have been a giveaway? Guessing it was parked on the block. Dad said afterward, well, at least I know you're not gay. Thanks, Pop. Are ya winning, son? Yes, Dad. My sister was caught by her high school boyfriend's mom while she was giving head, and I shit you not, the dude literally came on her face right as the door opened, and apparently it scarred her so much she hasn't given a blowjob since. PCSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Buddy, if ya want me to write this fetish fic for ya, I'm gonna need $50. Not my parents, and it wasn't even in the act. My first girlfriend's dad found a big value pack of condoms in her dresser, and took them as like an unspoken message that he knew. The thing is, I was always the one who would bring my own condoms, since hers were just backups. So her father was very confused why she never brought it up for like months. And he finally sat us both down, and explained that he knew we were having sex. He also mentioned how disappointed he was that we weren't using protection. I remember the word idiot being thrown around at both of us. I proceeded to explain, and then show, that I usually toted my own condoms around with me. Never thought that I would see a father that was proud of me sleeping with his daughter. We awkwardly laughed it off, and then went to get Mexican food. Lol, he was a weird dude, but he always gave respect where it was due. When I was a young teenager, my grandma would clean my dressers when she was babysitting my little brother. My mom and I kept telling her to stop, and she kept doing it. I'd come home and all the drawers would be moved around. One time she threw away a jewelry box that I kept my money in. So one night before she babysat, I bought several truck stop condoms and novelties from a vending machine. This was circa 1995. I put them on the very top of the top drawer, and in my underwear drawer. Never said a word about it. It just stopped. I know she went in the drawer, because I'd placed something to know it had been opened. Bitch never went in my drawers again. She stole that $sign. Got caught banging my best friend's stepsister in her car, in the driveway, when I was 17. It was my grandmother that caught us. We were parked under a bright ass HPS light that was on the front of my granddad's shop, with the door open, like the stupid, horny teens we were. I'm going to town, and I hear a smack on the windshield. My grandma is standing there with a furious look on her face, and screams at the top her lungs, just what the hell are you doing? I look up with what I can only guess is a horrified and confused look on my face, with my neon white ass exposed, and say, what the hell does it look like I'm doing? I pull out, and sprint to the house, jump in my bed and pull the covers over my head. Needless to say, there was a very awkward breakfast the next morning. A few months later, I'm on my way out the door to take the same girl to prom, and she hands me a few 20s wrapped around a strip of condoms. She looks me in the eyes, smiles a big toothy grin, and says, "Now, don't spend it all in one place, son." My grandma is a fucking legend, especially considering she's a Southern Baptist from Texas. That was one of the most hilarious things she ever said to me. In other words, don't fuck in the driveway again. Nailed it. Yeah, he did. Friend of mine tried calling me, did not pick up, because I was hugging my girlfriend like dogs do. He had the brilliant idea to call my mom, who went straight into my room. At this point I was very close, as was my girlfriend, so I was unable to stop as the door opens. Mum walks in, hands me the phone while GF, and I have post-hugging clarity. I took the phone. She went out, told my buddy I call him back. I had eye contact with my mum while finishing in my GF. We never talked about this, but she sure as hell knocked every time she wanted to enter my room after that incident. You must assert your dominance. When we were about 16, my GF's father walked in on us. I think he wanted to show us something, because he had that open the door and turn on the light in one movement. He saw us, went red in his face and apologized. He left the run, and closed the door. After a few seconds he opened the door a bit, and asked if we wanted the lights off again. Did you want the lights off again? Quite funny. My mom was obviously embarrassed, and my dad said, "Wash your hands before dinner, son." My GF couldn't stop laughing for the rest of the 6. Are you winning, son? Yes, I'm, thanks dad. Proud of ya, bud. My mom once walked in on my brother getting a blowjob, so he threw his hands in the air and my mom told him, "Oh, what is that supposed to mean? Look, ma, no hands." We owned a dairy at the time, so once the story got out the workers would see him and throw their hands in the air and go, "Look, mommy, no manners." That's hilarious. His mother caught us. She apparently thought it was reasonable to stand in the doorway and say back, quote, "Stop that." I was so shocked and uncomfortable and just kinda stared speechlessly, waiting for her to go away, like a normal person would if they walked in on somebody having sex. Surely, but she literally just kept telling us to stop it until I, got off of him. And then she walked us downstairs, so she could keep an eye on us for the rest of the day, and then banned me from the house for the next 6 weeks. Even though we were both past the age of consent and we were doing it quietly in his bedroom with the door shut. So very weird. This would have been a great time to assert dominance by not stopping and looking her right in the eye. Lol. OMG, you made me picture it, and I cringed so hard it hurt, lol. Was a little awkward and parents were mad, but not because we were having sex, but because I wasn't studying for my upcoming exams, like I said I was. I'm trying to study for my health exam,